Welcome to Stories from the Dirt. I'm your host, Avis, and my co-host, Liz.
Hello. All right. In this current podcast series, we are focusing on the female competitors from the Rebel Rally, as well as their friends and family and the people that make the rally come together as a whole and operate.
This will be your go-to series to get all the dirt and all the answers to your burning questions, all things Rebel.
All right. And what is the Rebel Rally?
The Rebel Rally is, let me just read you something. The Rebel Rally is the first women's off-road navigation rally raid in the United States, blending the love of driving with the ultimate challenge of precision navigation. The Rebel tests your skills over 8 days of competition. It is not a race for speed, but a unique and demanding event based on the elements of headings, hidden checkpoints, time, and distance, using maps, compass, and a road book. What does that mean? Basically, we're going to spend 8 days in a car with a teammate with just paper maps and a compass and rudimentary tools, finding our way around the landscape, hunting down checkpoints, which can be flags, poles, or nothing at all.
And you get points for each one of those. So every flag we get right, we get points for those.
Right. So it's not a race, but it's a points competition. So the most points wins in this particular case. And you're awarded points based on how precise you can be. So it's pretty exciting. Yeah. And you're living in a tent the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're packing that tent and carrying it with you. And your whole life is in the vehicle with you. So.
But you're doing it with, last year there were 65 teams. So you're doing it with 130 other competitors. So we're not alone out there.
No, you're never alone. It might feel like you are, but you're never alone.
Yeah. So we have each competed. Last year was my rookie year. I've done it once and doing it again this year.
All right. This is coming up to be my third year. So I've done it twice. So what made you want to come back?
I've thought about that a lot. I honestly felt just kind of obsessed afterwards. Going into the rally last year as my rookie year, I read as much as I could. You were my mentor kind of for Nat and I, my teammate Nat, the two of us, you were our mentor. So you gave us what information you could. And then I did as much of my own digging and talking to people and trying to understand the rally before getting into it. But you just don't understand what you don't know, or you just don't know what you don't know. So having actually been through the rally last year, it was like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing for 8 days. Like, this is how everything operates. And definitely being out there and like finding those first checkpoints, and then every day finding more checkpoints, and I like putting all the skills that I practiced last year training to compete in the Rebel into actual use for 8 days. I think it tapped into this side of me that I'm like, oh, okay, I did it, I completed it, but I don't feel like I like really accomplished the Rebel. So I think after like crossing the finish line last year and then going back, and re-entering into society again, every morning I was waking up like having dreamed about it, or like I would wake up and I was thinking about checkpoints we were at, and I wanted to learn plotting, and I wanted to learn all of these things that I didn't get a really good handle on last year. So I think I just had this like hunger to come back and do better now that I like understood what the rally is and kind of at a basic level how to do it, because it sounds like every year you compete, you learn what that next kind of level is, which is probably something you can touch on more so, having done it a few more years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all the same things that you said, you do it your first year and you're like, okay, I know how to do it, but I can do it better.
Yeah.
Like that's after my first year, that's what I came away with, is like, okay, now I understand how to compete, and I understand the stress, because it's a kind of stress that I've never experienced before. I never signed myself up for 8 days of stressing for 14 hours a day and then sleeping in the cold tent on the ground. So it's kind of like people are like, why do you want to do it again? Because there's so many of these aspects. It's just like, doesn't sound like it should be fun, but it's a good challenge, and it takes all of your life skills and it balls it all up and throws them in together to a competition. And so like your all of your skills, your social skills, your stress management skills, your organizational skills, your how well can you play this game that has the most complex set of rules that you've ever seen in a game before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what keeps bringing me back is the thrill of the challenge of can I do better?
Yeah.
Then like you said, every year you learn something and you try to apply that to the next year. And then you're like, okay, well, that worked better. This didn't quite work how I expected it to work. So let's do it again. And let's do it again. And let's do it again. And I can be better at this. And
yeah.
So yeah, it's an addiction.
It definitely is. And I've felt on and off, I've definitely felt crazy for wanting to do it again. Like because it really, like when you're in it, you're so tired and you're so, at some point you're emotionally drained. I mean, in the highs and the lows from like accomplishing something to then being like, we're freaking lost. And how did we get here? And how did we like get this lost? And how did we break the vehicle? And like, just so many, there's just so much, that it's like I just feel kind of crazy for wanting to go back, but at the same time I'm like, but I want to go back. I want to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thrill of the chase of improvement, I think.
Yeah.
So like you did that, okay, I made these mistakes. I feel like I can improve here, there, and everywhere. And so yeah, let's do it again and see like, did I learn what I thought I learned?
Yeah.
And so
like, I think one of the things for me going into it was it's like, there's no communication. So, I mean, they take our phones because there's
right.
GPS, there's no phones, like there's no GPS in your car. So your phone goes in a bag and it's like, all right, I'm for 8 days, I'm not communicating with my loved ones. I'm not communicating with my husband. I'm not getting daily photos of the dogs. Like, how am I gonna, can I do this? Like, how is this gonna be mentally? Like, because I mean, my husband Brett is my go-to person. And so it's like, I've done hard things, but then to be like, but I can't call the person that I want to and download with him. Like, how am I going to handle that? And basically, I think it really, the rally really showed me that like, I can do hard things. I can like progress forward. I can rely on myself. I can rely on my teammates and my friends. Like, so it changed me. We've had that conversation before.
Right. Is the rally life-changing? Yeah, for me, the most shocking part was how not having my phone, and not just my phone, just what my phone represents as connection for the 8 days. Like you said, Brett is your person. My husband, Rob, is my person. We've been together since I was in high school. I mean, I've lived more of my life with him than without him. And he is the person that I can say anything to without judgment, right? And we don't find that in other people because you know, even your best friend, depending on what you say, they're like, I'm judging you. And so you lose that. And so that definitely adds to the stress. But then, so yeah, let's circle back to that. Did you find the rally to be life-changing? Because I have always said no, but you've said yes. And then you've challenged me on that several times.
So yes, my answer is yes. I found it life-changing. And I found it life-changing for a bunch of different ways. I think I'm still processing my first year. So I think that some of the ways that the rally has touched me will continue to reveal themselves, like as I move forward in life. Even just from, so like last year being my rookie year, all the training like that we do, which is an option. So in the rally, you don't have to train beforehand. You don't have to go to the Rebel U and you don't have to do those things. But and I opted to, wanting to be fairly competitive, we opted for training. So we went to Dunes training, we went to the Rebel U, we went to some of your trainings. So even just in that, I found it life-changing that it was like, okay, I'm packing up my vehicle, just me, and I was in Montana, my teammates in California, and most of our trainings were California, and I'm driving myself down and I'm having, it's like no dogs, no Brett, like, okay, I'm gonna go do this for a week, showing up and like having to show up socially and mentally, and it just, all the trainings pushed me, and all of the like it made me more independent. It made me more like, I just saw how I could rely on myself, even just in those like 6 months beforehand. So I found even just leading up to the rally that I was already like learning and evolving and changing. And then the rally itself definitely taught me like that I'm a lot tougher than like I thought I was, I guess, just in the like, because it is such a game of like, not only is it a game you're playing, but it's like it's a physical, mental, like and so I guess what I meant tough is like, you know, I just endured a lot more. There's a lot of things that like in the past I think I would have just been like, oh, I want to quit, or like this sucks. But when you're in it, you're just like, no, like I've trained, I've paid a lot of money to be here, like, and like this is my choice. I'm choosing to do this, like, okay, I'm going to finish it. Like, I'm going to see this through. So I think it's that, like, you just learn, or I learned how, like, no, I can do hard things. I can complete this. And it made other things in my life after the rally. I was like, I'd come up on something and be like, that's not that hard. Like, I've done way harder things in the rally. Like, we'll just get through this. Like, okay, one foot in front of the other. Like, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've always been someone to set big goals and try to go after those goals. But yeah, I mean, the rally, like you said, it's everything. It's all of your skills. It's your physical, your mental, and it's such a stressful experience. And I mean, I think very few people will willingly sign themselves up for that kind of fun. Yeah, for sure. For me, like, you know, I've been out in the woods my whole life. Grew up with a dad who had me out hiking, camping, climbing, you know, all things outdoors, off-roading. So being off grid, and now even with Rob, you know, we're classically traveling off grid quite a lot. So I was like, I have these skills. This is just life for me. But yeah, so I don't know. But I did have a friend recently tell me, oh, the rally changed you. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you're just so competitive. And I was like, well, I think I've always been competitive. It just has given me an avenue to express it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm still iffy on, is it life changing? But you've pointed out, yes, I have changed things in my life because of it. I do, after my second year, I did come out of it and I was just like, okay, I've had 2 years. Like, I've picked teammates. Like, the first year, I made the very, like, you hear a lot of rookies, like, they asked somebody and that person said yes. And they were like, great, you're my teammate, right? Like, the first person to say yes, that's who they teamed up with. And then the second year, I was a little more strategic. And then coming out of my second year, and that teammate, that situation dissolved. So I was like, okay, I have to find yet another teammate. Third year, third teammate. Like, let me scientifically attack that this year. And, you know, what am I looking for? How do I become a better teammate to them? And so, like, I came out of it, like, probably the most changed this second year than the first year. Like, I started really digging into books and understanding conversations and how to communicate with people. And, you know, and that's an ever learning process. Like, it's not ending. And I know you and I have been like, we've had conversations and you're like, I was like, well, what are we supposed to say if somebody's wrong? I was like, I'm going to say, I think you're wrong. And you were like, whoa, like, let's not say that. I was like, oh, okay. Let me figure out some different words for you're wrong and I'm right. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely infected a lot of areas of my life to kind of challenge me to be a better person.
Yeah, I see that for me as well. I definitely came out of the rally, like, I guess it highlighted aspects of my personality or ways that I am under stress. I was definitely working on that before going into the rally. Like, last year, I was doing a lot of personality books and communication books and like working on that and just understanding language and understanding how our conversations and our communication can affect each other and stuff. And then still being in the rally, it was like, okay, that I was highly, I guess, heightened awareness of aspects of my personality that came out of the rally going, okay, these are things I still need to work on.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were all fixed going in, but it was just like, oh, all right, well, these are like, you've worked on this area of communication. Now, there's things that I'm, again, diving into this year on for better communication. And so that is a way that the rally has kind of pushed me and highlighted things that I'm like, oh, let's work on that. Or this is still a beautiful part of me, but how can we make it better for everyone?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the stress definitely has a tendency to spotlight the things that are both shining and not so shining about us.
Yeah.
So what was your background like before the rally was on your radar? Did you feel like your background prepared you for it, or?
I think somewhat. So let's see. All right. So I, opposite of you, I did not grow up camping, or my outdoors was like playing tennis and beach walks and stuff like that. So I did horseback rides. So I was used to being dirty as like a dirty human as a young woman, because horses, you're just dirty all the time. So, but I hadn't camped or anything like that. And then when I met my husband, he's like Boy Scout, grew up off-roading, all that stuff. So he's the one that like got me into it. And then like 10 years ago or so, I guess, we started like camping, and we took our truck out, and basically it would be considered overlanding before it was really like overlanding. So we just had a truck with a shell, and we tossed all of our camping gear and our bins in it, and we'd go on road trips. So that was the start. And then like that progressed into at some point like getting Jeeps and getting a rooftop tent and finding ourselves out all the time, like every single weekend we were finding trails and we were camping. And so like that, I guess that aspect of life, like I definitely understood like being out in nature and camping. I don't really like ground tents. So the rally was new to me for ground tents because I was so used to like rooftop tent or a hammock or something, basically rooftop tent, that like I pretty much did anything to avoid a ground tent. So that was an area that I was like, all right, so the Rebelle, I'm going to have a ground tent, and I'm going to have a sleeping pad and everything. So I actually enjoyed ours that we ended, like it was per your recommendation, but like the big foamy pads and like, so I enjoyed ground tenting more than I thought I would. But I still prefer like the rooftop tents, or now we have the 4x4 van. So, we've moved all the way to comfort, and we have like a big ass freaking bed in our van. So, but
yeah,
I think, all of our time out, definitely, I thought it prepared me for being on the rally. I'm like, okay, we camp. We're used to long trips. We're used to being dirty. Like, this isn't a new thing that I've never done before. So I think that, and then all of the off-roading, because we're used to being out in the trucks, and we're used to like, I got a lot of seat time and stuff going into it because I'd already had several years of off-roading, and then practiced a lot more last year going into it. But so all of those things I think definitely like prepared me, but it was a different experience. Like, because even on the marathon nights, so it's like this last year we had two, where it's like normally we're at base camp, which is a big, beautiful tent, and everybody camps there, and you've got tables and heaters and food and everything provided for you by the rally. And then there's usually one marathon night, where we drive off and we camp at a designated area somewhere, pitch our tents, camp with our vehicle. And then next time we're back in base camp. So this year we had two marathon nights, and I was like, oh, we're going to own this. Like, this is what I'm used to. Like, we get to camp with our vehicle. Like, I can just park it there and like throw all my stuff out. And then they threw a wrench on not the first night or the first marathon, but the second marathon, we got to do that. So, so that I thought I was was like, yes, this is where we're going to own this, is the like marathons. And even that was still different.
Yeah, well, because we're used to being on our own schedule, and like here, this marathon stage. I know my first year we hit our first marathon stage, and it was at a hot springs, and everybody was kind of like enjoying the hot springs. And I'm not really a big water person, but I went over and I was socializing a little bit, and then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I have plotting to do. Like, I have stuff that like I can't be sitting around. Like, I have stuff to do. So even though yeah, like you, I was like, oh, I got this, but I forget that like, oh, it's gonna be 30 degrees there tonight. No, we're gonna go to this other location where it's gonna be 40.
We'll go there
You're still not
there, like we'll leave when we want to.
right. You're still not in charge of your own destiny, so to speak. Yeah, my very first rally night or my very first base camp, it was cold. Classically, the first base camp is cold. And, I'm used to traveling around in our four-wheel camper that has heat. And I come out of my tent the first morning and I look across and there's all the staff member four-wheel campers and they're like collection of different kinds of campers. And I was just like, oh, it's so cold. I miss home.
Well, and classically, like when we're out camping, we wouldn't get like, at least for me, I'm not going to get up until the sun's up. Like if it's 30, I'm going to wait till the sun's up and the world's warming up. Like on the rally, we don't have that choice. It's like cowbells happening at 5 and you need to be in the tent. And it's like, I remember this first year, I'm just laying in the tent going like, it's dark, it's freezing, and the sun's not up for like at least 3 more hours. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like it's 14 degrees. Why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. My 2 chants this year was it's going to be a great day. And that was just, positive thinking. It's going to be a great day. I told you that. I told myself that. Anybody I would pass, like if I was like having any short thinkings about the day, I would just be like, it's going to be a great day, like trying to talk myself off the ledge, and then I would be like, oh, I want to go home. And by I want to go home, I think that is really translation. I want to be able to talk to Rob. Like that, I think, like I said before, is the hardest part for me because we are off grid a lot. And, well, with Starlink, not as much as we used to be, but I'm used to not talking to the outside world, but Rob is always there. And so, yeah. It's a wake-up call.
Yeah. So did you feel prepared before your first year with like your background and like overlanding and stuff like that? Did you feel like a lot of that prepared you?
No. Excuse me. No. Mm-mm. I don't ground tent. Not since I was a kid. I don't set up tents or take them down or sleep in tents alone. Yeah, like you said, you had to travel and camp alone along the way. That's something I haven't done. As an adult, as a teenager, I've never done that. I've never been like, I'm just going to go solo camp. I don't have a desire. I don't know that I would sleep, honestly. So yeah, I mean, kudos to you for that. But yeah, like sleeping in a tent. My first year, I did not share a tent. And so sleeping in a tent alone, I mean, even though there's somebody basically like your tent is touching somebody else's, we shared tent stakes my first rally year between the 2 tents. We were so close. But even that for me was sort of like, okay, I'm really doing this. I'm really all alone in the dark. So no, And then like sleep training for me, like I don't get up that early. So, like, and there's such long days. So no, I was not prepared for like, I know my second year, going into my second year, I didn't feel like physically my first year, like I consider myself to be pretty physically fit. And so, I was like, oh, I got this. But I was so drained my first year that going into my second year, I set out about a century training schedule for my bike so that I could work on endurance. And then, so I would go out and I would just ride in my garage on my trainer, but I would go and I put in a couple hours on the bike trainer. And then I would come in and do things that required mental toughness. Like I would plot or do math or like do something that it like used my brain in some fashion so that I could prepare myself a little bit better for the compounding fatigue that happens through the week.
Right, smart. Yeah, I remember there's a couple of times we were training with you at your place, and you were having us like plot at night because you're like you're tired. You need to do this.
Yeah,
practice while you're tired because you're going to be tired on the rally.
So yeah, I hope through this series we're gonna get to hear all of the ins and outs from a lot of other people and how they handle all of this. Should be fun.
Yeah. And I mean, one of our goals is to I guess, get the backgrounds from some of these amazing women of just like, where they come from, what they've been up to, like how did they get into the rally, when did they first hear about it, how did it change them, all of that stuff. So because it takes anyone can sign up and do the rally, but it takes, I think, a certain individual to do that and go through with it. So everyone I've met so far has a unique story. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy competition in that you literally have all walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
From housewife, more myself, like I don't really have a career or anything like that. And then all the way up to like CEOs and business owners and rocket scientists. I mean, it's just the most eclectic group of people sharing the same thing, interest, which I find that crazy. And then you show up and nobody cares. Nobody cares where you came from or how you got there. They just care that you're there and you're now part of the sisterhood.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's been amazing, is just the support from all of the women that are past rebels, current rebels. And I hear this from other women that I talk to that are in it or that are rookies, and they're like, oh my gosh, like everyone's so supportive and everyone's, wants to get together and train or answer questions or like help each other. And that's not normal in competition or the world of competition. At least that, to me, I haven't experienced anything quite like that where everyone, I mean, granted, I'm sure we all still have some of our secrets that we're not necessarily, divulging everything. But for the most part, everyone is willing to help each other and is excited to. So I think that's pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a unique aspect of the rally that you're not finding in everyday life. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we hope to dig in and, pull a few of those secrets out of people.
Yeah, and their best stories. So
yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, Liz, we've come to the time. We're going to do fast money. There's no money involved. Are you ready?
Yeah. Wait, why is it? There's no money involved?
No, There's no money involved. I just call it fast money to entertain myself. If you can't entertain yourself, what do you have in life? All right. I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute. I'm going to ask you 11 questions. The idea is to answer them quickly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Okay. I think I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite car you've ever owned?
This was going to be a hard one. I think it's my 99 Jeep TJ.
Ooh, good one. Favorite state you've ever visited?
Colorado.
Desert or mountains?
Mountains.
Oceans or lakes?
Lakes.
Ground tent or rooftop tent?
Rooftop tent all the way. True. That's a tree house.
How many pairs? Tree house?
That's a tree house.
How many pairs of Vans do you own?
I think it's around 20. I don't think it's over 20.
Baseball caps, flat bill or rounded?
Flat bill.
Luxury camp food or will keep you alive food?
Probably keep you alive food, but I do like luxury food.
Yeah, if somebody else is cooking. Coffee?
Yes.
Drive or navigate?
Drive mostly.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
You were right at the time limit.
So that was an to waffles or to my time?
Oh, that was the time. That was your time. That was pretty good though. But you said waffles. I like pancakes.
Well, that's different opinions. So I like waffles because it's like it's like a little bathtub for like butter and syrup and stuff. It's amazing.
I don't really do a lot of syrup, I think, which is why I don't like waffles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically just a vessel to have like all these little things in, or if you do like strawberries or like stuff in it, like pancakes, it's just a sponge. So it's just like, you've got this like sponge soaking it up. Like the waffle, you have a little boat of flavor.
That's true.
So
that is true. I always laugh when I ask the luxury camp food or will keep you alive food, because I introduced you to what I like to call nut butter tacos, which is a street taco tortilla with a little peanut butter or almond butter spread on there. And then that's how I stay alive on girls' weekends.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of those recently, like with my camping trips, the last like 3 that I've been doing. Yeah, pretty much every day I'm having like, it's like either breakfast or like an afternoon snack. I'm definitely like, those are keeping me alive. So
yeah. But I'm also known to be the camp mooch. Like if you're eating something, I'm going to be like, what is that? Can I have some? Can I taste that? Oh, M&Ms. I like those.
But you always bring the healthy snacks, I've noticed. Where
I do.
Having, you're like, I have these almonds here. They don't have any salt on them. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm the most boring eater ever. I can offer you raw, unsalted almonds, grapes, carrots and celery, which, by the way, I liked carrots and celery before I started doing the Rebel. But did you eat carrots and celery with your helmet on last year?
No.
It makes the most entertaining sound. Because you know how you can like kind of hear yourself chew, and then you have this helmet on, which is kind of like blocking the outdoor world. Again, I entertain myself.
So you like that? I'm picturing it. I'm like, I would not eat that because it would be so loud in my helmet. Like,
I love
like that. Okay,
I do. I love it.
Yeah,
it entertains me and it makes me feel good to eat the healthy food.
Yeah. I grabbed a bunch of the celery and carrots. I think Nat had some. I don't think I had any. So, but
I will force you to eat some celery this year just to experience the crunching in your helmet.
But then you get the strings in your teeth.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
I live on fruits and veggies. Like if I'm in a bad mood, Rob will be like, "Do you want to go to the grocery store and go to the produce section?" Yes, please. Unless the farmers market is open, and then we go there. But it's not open yet this year. So he's like, "I can cheer you up. Do you want to go to the produce section?" Yes, please.
All right. So lots of fruits and veggies. Okay.
I'm a simple person.
So I will do my best to remember the questions for Fast Money.
Okay.
So, all right.
I'll just answer. You just ask me 11 questions and I'll answer them.
I can't. Okay. I will do my best.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite car you ever owned?
I should be ready. 2012 JK.
Nice. Okay. Favorite state you've ever been to?
North Dakota.
Okay. What was it? Oceans or lakes?
Neither.
That's not a choice.
Lakes.
Okay. Mountains or desert?
Desert.
Okay. How many pairs of Vans do you own?
Probably 15.
I have more than you?
Yeah.
That says...
And you live in a van.
Oh, they don't all stay in the van.
I know. I'm kidding.
Most of them are in Montana. I only have 2 pairs in the van right now. 3. Sorry, 3. Okay. Rooftop tent or ground tent?
Rooftop tent.
Rooftop tent. Okay. Oh, I screwed you up on that already because I started answering other questions. So we'll keep going. I don't even know how many questions I've asked you.
I don't know. I turned my list over.
Okay. We went ask the Vans question. We've got the pancakes or waffles.
Pancakes.
Pancakes. Was that it? I can't remember if there are any more questions.
I like a rounded bill and a hat.
Okay. Hat question. Rounded instead of flat bill.
Yeah. And clearly I like coffee.
Coffee. Yes. The coffee question.
Yeah. We've united over coffee and Vans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I like to navigate.
Look at that. I forgot 4 questions.
Yeah. That's okay. That was good. That was good. All right. Well, here's to a successful series.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, we're starting with the rally and, oh, there you go. You made it under 2 minutes. Well, So, all right. So yes, we're starting with this series with the rally. We don't know how many episodes that's going to be. We're just feeling that out. Got a lot of people that we can talk to, and we're excited to talk to. And then at some point, moving into other motorsports, as well as overlanding, women in overlanding, and families in overlanding, and camping, and motorsports, and camping. So, I mean, there's all sorts of directions we're hoping to go.
All directions, life beyond the pavement.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, we're dancing? Oh, look, I only have a small picture.